Hey guys, Ben, the Outdoors Airgunner, out here today with a little airgun comparison video for you guys. I've got the Beeman QB78S in 22 cal, and I've got the Umarex Fusion 177 cal. These things both are CO2, and they're both pretty awesome little air rifles. Now what we're going to do is kind of put one against the other, see who comes out on top, and you guys can decide which one you think is the best, which one you might want to buy, and that'll be it. So stay tuned. This is going to be a fun one, guys. Alright guys, so before doing this test, just based on my experience, my personal favorite out of these two is really the Umarex Fusion. Now the reason why I like this one is really a whole lot of different things. One, I think it's a little bit lighter, but we'll of course put them both on the scale and see how they come out that way. But this is so quiet. It really, because of this 5-chamber silence air suppressor up here on the tip, it is like just a whisper quiet little gun. So you know, for me, what I like to do with these is I like to do a little bit of mousing, ratting, pest elimination. Having that quietness is a huge plus. Now, of course, the other kind of advantage to this Fusion is that it's, in my opinion, just a little bit better crafted, a little better made. The bolt action, the pellet pusher, there, everything, it fits together, just a little bit better finish. The trigger on this thing, in my opinion, is awesome. And, you know, being 177 cal, I think it gets a few more shots per fill. But, of course, we're going to test that, too. Now, I also like the way that this just sits into your shoulder. It feels like you're almost got like a little rim fire. You know, it's pretty lightweight, you know, and just really easy to use. I like this Umarex Fusion. Now, in contrast to that, this being 22 cal with no suppressor up there, it, you know, it's a little bit noisier, but probably has a little bit more power downrange because of that 22 cal pellet you're able to push. Of course, I will go ahead and shoot them both over the Crony. We'll get you guys the foot-pound calculations on that so you can see who's really more powerful out of the two. But at this point, I'm kind of guessing that the QB78 is going to have the edge as far as power goes. Now, it also doesn't have a bad trigger, but it's a little bit more kind of springy and crunchy. And then also the bolt action is a little bit, I don't know, just not as smooth. It's kind of grindy. They're both single shot. They're both kind of a pain in the butt to load to get that pellet down into that tray. So no one really has a significant advantage in that area. One thing that I do like better about this QB78S is you see right here, it's got this little tactical rail. Now I've done some other videos with this guy, put them up on the other channels. You guys can always go ahead and check those channels out, the Airgun Web channel. I've got a review on this rifle, and of course during that review I had my nice little bipod on here. And that's actually pretty cool because with that tactical rail you're able to attach a bipod, whereas with this guy, you kind of have to do some customizations to the stock to accommodate for a bipod. Or you could always get one of those that straps onto your barrel, but I don't really like those. You know, I like to be able to attach it to something that's a little more secure, something that's not going to put any stress on my barrel. So anyways guys, that's it. We're going to go ahead, get out the scale, weigh these two guns, and see which one comes out on top in that first category, the weight category. One thing I want to mention is that the Fusion, it actually does come with this included scope, this bundled optic. The QB78 does not come with an included optic. Hi, little girl. So what I've gone ahead and put on here is just my 1.5 to 4.5 power scope. But they're both could be set to 4 power, so I'm going to set them both on 4 power for this video, and of course we'll leave the scopes on for the weight comparison. I don't think that there's going to be a whole lot of difference between the weight in these two scopes, and so let's go ahead and get that weight part started. Let's get the Fusion on the scale first. Alright, there you can see we're at 0 pounds. And it comes out 5.5 pounds even. All right. Once again, we're at 0 here. There we go, 6.1 pounds. So just as I had expected, QB78 is just a little bit heavier, only by about 1/2 pound or so. And maybe a few ounces of that could come from subtle differences in the scope, but these are both really pretty small scopes. I'm sure that it's not that big of a difference. I knew I could sense a little bit of additional weight in this, and yeah, so there you have it. Only 1/2 pound, not a big deal. Both pretty light guns with a scope and all. This one's only just barely over 6 pounds. So, but in that category, like I had sort of expected, good old Fusion has just subtle edge over the Beeman QB78. Let's go ahead, guys, and test them next over the Crony, and we'll see who comes out as far as in the power category. Now, I know that this is going to be shooting a little bit slower than the Fusion, and obviously that's because this is 22 cal and that's a 177 cal, but we're going to run the calculations for you guys and see which one's actually got more power at the muzzle, and you guys can be the judge there, see which one you like the best. But let's go ahead and get it started anyways, right? All right, so the first up is this Beeman QB78S. I am using JSB 1589s because these are what I'll be using for the accuracy portion as well. So here we go, let's see what it can do us for foot-pounds. .521 duplicate. The Fusion out now. I'm gonna go ahead and use the Barracuda match because these are also what I'll be using in the accuracy portion. These are 10.65 grains, so they're a heavier 177 cal pellet. Let's see how they do. .596. 622. 626. I'm guessing that maybe that first shot has just had a little too much CO2 pressure sitting out here in the sun. Guns get a little hot and that CO2 wants to lock the valve a little bit. 625. 622. Must have messed something up on that one. It says only 25 feet a second. I know it was more than that. There we go. 615. 631. Alright, guys. Let's go ahead and move along to the accuracy here. Got the Beeman QB78 up here on the stand, and I'm going to use it first. Got the phone scope going so that we can capture the target. So I'm going to go ahead and use the stand. I wouldn't normally, I don't really like shooting off of these. I like more sort of legitimate practice. But because I'm really trying to eliminate any room for me to make a mistake, I want to show you guys the difference in the accuracy here between the Fusion and the QB78. Figured I'd go ahead and put it in the stand. It's going to get us the most consistent sort of results there. So I have not shot either of these recently, especially at 30 yards. Most of the time when I'm using them, it's 15 to 25 yards. But I figured we'd go ahead and stretch it out to 30 just because I wanted to, kind of test the limits of them and see, really just try to show you guys if they had a one started to shine maybe at a little bit farther range. So anyways, we've got the target out there at 30 yards. Phone scope's recording, and I guess that's about all the talking I need to do. Let's just start shooting these things. I'm going to do 5 shots with each. We'll just start there, and we'll see how that turns out for us. again with this QB78, I'm using the JSB 15.89s. Here's shot number 5. All right, so that's about an inch group here at 30 yards. I mean, that's not bad for a CO2 gun, 22 cal CO2 gun. I've got a 1-inch group. I mean, I'm pretty happy with that. So just to kind of demonstrate for you guys the shot count, I'm going to go ahead and keep shooting these. We'll speed up the footage here, but I'm going to keep shooting at that same marker there, and we'll see when it starts to drop. Then we'll basically know, you know, what kind of shot count we can expect. Earlier I had shot, I think, 5 shots over the Crony with this, 5 shots just now, so that's a total of 10 shots. You know, go ahead and let's count them from here, but like I say, I'm going to speed it up just a little bit, otherwise this video would get way too long. All right, here we go. Okay, right around 50 shots. They did start to drop just a little bit lower, but you know, not a whole lot lower. I mean, it's still, and it's not varying at all right to left. But yeah, it's starting to come down. 50, 51, maybe 52 shots. So, you know, I'm going to say that you can expect, I mean, it's a warm day right now. It's probably 80, 85 degrees out here. Nice afternoon, and, you know, 50 shots. That's not a whole, really, I mean, that's not too bad at all. 2 CO2s, 50 shots, 22 cal, and man, they're like 45 of them were like right on the mark. Just, I mean, I was just carving it out. You'll see the phone scope footage, but that's pretty awesome. And then you can see through there right now that that last, you know, 4 or 5 shots, 6 shots did start to fall an inch or so low. So that's where I'm going to call it. We'll say 50 shots. Let's go ahead and get the Fusion rigged up with the phone scope and see what that thing can do for us as far as accuracy, shot count, see how it holds up here to this QB78. All right, that didn't take too long. I love this phone scope because unlike a lot of other devices that, you know, you can use to film through your scope, which is just the basic purpose of this, the cool thing that makes this to me very usable, first of all, is I'm able to film with my phone. I don't have to use a GoPro or any other sort of camera. Phones are super easy and I get great footage anymore, so that's pretty awesome. The other thing that's cool is that it ratchets on. It's got this sort of ratchet, kind of like what you'd find on like a snowboard binding, I guess. Anyways, what's cool is that you just pop the ratchet off of the one scope, ratchet it onto the other, and you're good to go. It doesn't take all this special tooling or anything to get it set up, and that's pretty awesome. So, same thing on this. I had left off after the Crony at about 5, I think 5 or 6 shots, so somewhere around there. We'll just call it 5, and I am using the Barracuda match. These are the heavier 10.65 grain pellets. And so let's see how we can do for accuracy, shot count, the whole bit. First we'll do 5 shots and we'll do our little accuracy here. And then after that we'll just shoot it out till we see those first couple of shots start to drop. All right, here we go, guys. This one's shot just a little bit to the left, so I'm going to shoot another couple of shots, and if it keeps going left like that, what I'll do is I'll correct for it and I'll pick a fresh target and we'll try a second chance at giving it a group actually on the red there. But first we'll just see how it groups holding that same aim point. Yeah, looks like it really is gonna, I think I kind of bumped this one around the other day on the gun rack, and I'm pretty sure I might have knocked the scope just slightly off because it's hitting over to the left just a little bit. So I'll do one more just to be sure. Yep, same hole over to the left. All right, so that's 3 shots there off to the left to give you guys a little bit more fair impression of the accuracy. I'm going to hold on a new target, and I'm going to hold just a little bit to the right. See, there I was about 1 inch to the left, so I'm going to hold 1 inch to the right, and we'll see if we can't hit this red a little bit better. All right. So I'm going to just keep holding the same aim point. Well, I'm not sure if it's the pellets. Like I say, I haven't really shot these at this much range, but maybe there's a pellet that this one likes a little bit better. But I am definitely seeing the QB78 having a little bit of an edge on the accuracy. So I think that's 5 shots, pretty sure. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see there I had a couple shots that went a little bit low and a little bit to the right of the main group, but all the other 3 shots went through that same hole up there towards the sort of left half of that target. So, like I say, that could be just these pellets. I haven't tried a whole bunch of different pellets through this. At closer distances, 20, 25 yards, this was one holing with those Barracuda match, but now that I pushed it back to 30, we're starting to see a little bit of some differences there. I'm going to go ahead and just keep shooting that same target, holding that same aim point, and we'll see how this works out for us over the course of the rest of the CO2 here. We're up to 5 plus 7, that's 12 shots. So the rest of this video, I'm just gonna, like I say, like I did with the last one, just speed it up a little bit. We don't want to be here all day watching me shoot this, so we'll speed up the footage and count the shots so you guys can get an idea of which one gets a higher sort of a shot count. 40 shots in, and it looks like it's starting to drop off just a little bit here. Yep, that was it, 40 shots. So, wow, kind of in the other two categories, accuracy and shot count, QB78 sort of pulling away a little bit. I'm gonna do something here real quick, because get that stopped there. Take it off. All right. So what I've noticed sometimes will happen, really on either one of these guns, is that you will end up, for one reason or another, only puncturing one of the CO2s. Now, if that was the case, that might explain why this one had that lower shot count. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just relieving the rest of the pressure in there out. That's what this little device there does. Then I'm going to go ahead and unscrew the cap there, the CO2 cap. Take that off. We're going to take these CO2s out. That one's punctured. And that one's punctured. So they both did puncture. And it didn't sound like that much CO2 was really left when I hit the relief valve there. So in this test here today, I got, including the shots over the Crony and then these shots on target, about 40 shots with the Fusion. And then with our good old Beeman QB78, I actually got about 50 shots. So this one at 30 yards had better accuracy and better shot count. The Fusion was a little bit lighter. I like the fit and finish of the Fusion a little bit better. I think I like the trigger of the Fusion just a little bit better, and it definitely is quieter. So I'm going to go ahead and get out the foot-pound calculator. We'll figure out which one has, what sort of foot-pounds, where they fall in sort of that category. And I'll check right back with you guys after I run those numbers. We'll go ahead and wrap this video up. Decide who is the ultimate winner here. Beeman QB78, Umarex Fusion. Stay with me, guys. Alright guys, here we are. Beeman QB78, Umarex Fusion. Two really, in my opinion, very cool CO2 guns. I mean, it is a tough choice between these two. They both have certain advantages, and I'm kind of partial to the Umarex Fusion, but after this test I don't really know why exactly, other than, like I say, I feel like it's just a little bit better quality on the finish. This is kind of just clunky and old-fashioned looking here on the action. The action's kind of grindy and just sort of strange. To me anyways. Triggers, maybe not quite as good as the Fusion, not quite as quiet as the Fusion, but really in all respects, I mean, it's actually, from what we've tested here, at one in more of the categories. So that's what we're here to discuss, is who's the winner. And today the winner, actually guys, to be perfectly honest, really is this Beeman QB78. Now I know that this Fusion, it does cost a little bit more, but you got to take into account that it has an included optic. With this, you're going to have to buy a scope. Granted, this isn't like a super fancy scope, but this comes with nothing. So you got to get a scope, rings, whatever you need to get set up to sight it. Although it does have the option of just running the open sights. You could do that, whereas the Fusion obviously has no open sights, so Umarex had to do something, and so they included this bundled optic with it. So that being said, in the price category, I think you could get this set up with a scope and be in it for probably just a little bit less than what you'd spend on a Fusion. You've got the weight category there that we did first, and that's where the Fusion actually did win by about a half a pound. So that's one for the Fusion. Now, when we shot it over the Crony, this one was doing right around 521 feet a second with those 15.89s, and that is just right at about 9.5 foot-pounds. Now, this was doing, we'll say 625 with those 10.65 grains, and that's actually 9.25 foot-pounds. So it's a quarter foot-pound difference. I mean, that's like negligible. But still, the QB78 had that extra quarter of a foot-pound, so I guess we'd have to just call it the winner in that category. Now we went ahead and we shot him here at 30 yards, and the undeniable winner, at least in this test today, is the QB78. Now, one thing that might have changed that is if I had done more testing with this at this distance with different pellets and found maybe a different pellet that this seems to really like. Like I say, I have not tested this very much at the 30-yard distance. Most all of my shooting with this has been 15 to 20, 25 yards. I've used it for a lot of rat and mice pest elimination around here on the ranch, but those distances have been closer and it's always been dead on. Stretch it out to that 30 yards and you start to see the 22 cal QB78 really pull it away. I mean, over the course of those 50 shots, my group was just one ragged hole, maybe about that, about yay big or so. And the first 5 shots were just an inch group. So, wins in that category. So I guess that's really it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked seeing kind of the battle of the two CO2 guns here. These are two really popular models. Both of them, people love them and enjoy them, and I can definitely see why, because they are great shooting guns. Each have their subtle advantages, but in my test today, QB78 comes out the winner, and guess that's it for this one. If you liked the video, be sure to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I guess I'll see you in the next video. This has been the Outdoors Airgunner, outdoors, having fun with my air guns. See you guys.